Welcome back, guys. So, as we discussed in previous tutorial, so these are the series of topics we're going to cover in J2EE. And let's start with the first topic, which is working with jar file. First, we can see what is the necessary of having a jar file in real time. Then we can see how actually this helps you. So, what are the steps to generate a jar file and the benefits of using a jar file? Let's start with this. Let me clear this. So first we can see what is the necessary of having a jar. Suppose I'm a customer. Suppose I am a customer, so I'll be having one hotel. In my hotel, I just want a system to make the bookings and all. I don't want to do it in manually because of lack of budget constraints and all. I just want to have a software so that it will actually um, execute all my operations, the hotel operations and all. So I'm just having a, let me name it as, suppose it's lemon tree hotel. I just name it as lemon tree hotel. What my requirement is, I just need a software which actually execute all my the hotel operations. For that, I just need a software. What I'll do is I'll talk to one of the major service-based organizations or product-based organization. One of the organization I'll be talking to them. Like suppose I have a product-based organization where suppose if you take these product-based organization like Tech Mahindra. Suppose I can take it as Tech Mahindra as my Tech Mahindra Cat Gemini or Wipro, anything I can take. Let me take it as Tech Mahindra in my example. So what I'll do is I'll actually, I'm a hotel guy. I just uh, have a meeting with Tech Mahindra team and I'll tell them like I just need a software which actually do all my hotel related operations. So can you prepare and give it to me so that I can pay you the money? What are the cost it actually expects? So that much amount I'll give it to you. So what Tech Mahindra will do for that? It actually hires some developers hire some developers and the Tech Mahindra will actually give the navigations to the developers saying build this software. What developers will do, they'll actually construct a set of classes which actually manages the hotel related operations. Suppose booking a hotel and uh, giving ads for that hotel in internet or social media and all. For all these things are actually create a software. So each one will have a separate class for that. Suppose they have created a set of classes which is a dot class and b dot class, c dot class. So they created a set of classes. So the developers have created a set of classes and they actually uh, bundle this because they have to bundle this software and they have to give it to lemon tree and they can able to use the software directly. So if they directly give the dot class files, so they don't know what to do with the dot class files or Java files. So they need a bundle of it, and the bundle will be the named as jar. Suppose they'll be bundling as lemon tree project dot jar. So they will be bundling as lemon tree project dot jar, and they will give it to the lemon tree people. So what software here? The lemon tree jar will be coming as software, and the lemon tree will actually run the program. They will actually do all the operations, hotel operations with themselves. So they don't need to uh, struggle much like for manual operations and all. They can able to avoid it. So these what the whole structure will be, and these the usage of real-time usage of having a jar file. So for developing these things, what actually developer requires, the pre-requirements will be all the developers should have a Java software to be installed. Java software, and what they want, they need some development IDE, which is Eclipse or something, dev tools like Eclipse. And if they need performance testing and all, they need some other software, they need it for development related. So for now we can leave it here. So what dev require, or what Tech Mahindra is actually facilitate to developers, so Java software and the development tools and the performance tools and all, they have to provide to the developer. So what developer task will be, he has to code, has to test that code, whether it's running fine or not. If everything is fine, he has to make a jar, then he has to give it to customer. So these are he has to prepare a jar. These are all the steps involved. He has to install a software and has to use some development tools, and he has to build code. Then he has to test it and make a jar file. So for developer, he has these kind of requirements, software requirements, and he has to do these set of tasks. And what the client, which is Lemon Tree Hotel, which is actually do the task, is like he need some software requirements, right? He just need a Java software. So he just need a Java software. The hotel is required to install Eclipse and all? No, actually, even if you suggest him also, he won't supposed to install it because he don't know how to use the tools and he don't want to train on them. So he just want to use the software. He's just giving money to Tech Mahindra. Tech Mahindra has to build the jar and he has to give it to the project to the Lemon Tree. He just install the software and he just need to run the application. So these are uh, the pre-requirements will come, and the task, if you see, you just need to use the jar. That's it. You don't need any other task he has to do. You don't need to test it. You don't need to code it, or you don't need to modify anything. So if something new requirements comes, so you want to add more functionality to his project, he'll again contact to Tech Mahindra, and the Tech Mahindra actually do more functionality by adding new classes like D dot class, E dot class, and all. He'll be adding more classes, and then the latest the project will be given to the Lemon Tree. The Lemon Tree will actually install a new jar, and they will actually run the software again. So these are the overall the flow will be, and these are the jar file will be plays major role for a customer point of view. So let's go and create a sample Java class. Then we can package it as jar file. Then we can give it to a client, and we can see how the client is actually using it. Let's go and create it. I'm just going to on test folder where there's no files available here. What I'll do is I'll just create a class which is I'll make it as hotel management. So I just created a class, a Java file, which is hotel management. So with this class, I'll be having the functionality, whatever required functionality, I'll be keeping in this file. Public class. So just created a class with hotel management. So I'll be having one method. Public static. I just want to make this method to be accessible to the main method directly. I don't need to create an instance for that. book room. What this book room method will have system dot println room booked success. So I'm just making a call from main method. What I'm doing is just calling this method. So it's a very simple program. Once you run this program, it should call the book room method, and it will actually execute a set of lines of code. What are the functionality? So the basic validations and all code for room booking process. At the end, it actually confirms you the room got booked successfully. So this is a simple program I'm just writing. And what I'll do is I'll actually make this, I'll generate this class like how we showing in diagram. I just generate this class and I'll pack it as jar file, then I'll give it to client. Let me compile this code so that we can generate dot class file. So we just need a dot class file to bundle the jar. Java C hotel management.java. So it's got compiled and the .class file got generated. What is the next step? We have to test the code. Once we're done with the coding, then we have to test it. The way to test it is just need to call Java. So once you run this program, then it is telling the room booked successfully. So our coding is done and development is testing is done. The next step we have to do is we have to make a jar. So we have to bundle this jar. Let's go and make a jar. So to make a jar, we need along with the dot class files. So what are the dot class files we have in number of dot class files? We need one more file. Along with all the dot class files, we need one more file which is manifest.mf. So these the file is required to make the jar file to be ready, because we want to make sure like which class is actually the main class. So we have a lot of classes when we need one starting point where it actually identifies so which file it has to first run. Because if you suppose you have ABC classes and only B class is having a main method, so we have to mention that name in a manifest file, so that whenever the customer is running a jar file, then the jar file will actually look into the manifest and it actually identifies which is the starting point of all these classes. Depends on that, it actually run that particular class, then you will be getting the expected output. Let's go and create this file in the same folder. So I'm just creating a manifest. As I mentioned, we should mention what is the class, what is the starting point of this class. For that, I have to mention what is the main class. What is the main class here? It's nothing but hotel management. And even if you want to put more optimized, so suppose if this customer want to have more updates. Suppose you want more latest features to be added in this feature. So then he'll again contact to Tech Mahindra, and Tech Mahindra will do some changes. Again, he will to give it to another jar to make sure the difference, the old jar and the new jar. So which is having the new features jar. You can give a version for each jar file. So in manifest only we'll be giving the versions. The way to do this is manifest version. So at the first time I'll be giving 1.0. So you can give it any numbers, there's no issue, but it's good to give 1.0 for the first jar file. And if he comes with any defects or any new features and all, we'll make that possible by adding new classes and all, or by modifying some classes over here. And we can make a new jar, which is actually comes 2.0 or something. And depends on the version, he can able to differentiate the jar files, whatever he is having, the customer is having. So for that reason, we'll be having the 1.0 and the manifest version will be giving with the jar file. The other one is like suppose who is actually preparing this, creating these classes and all. So suppose there is a developer called Thomas. So Thomas is a developer who is actually generating, doing all these stuffs like coding all these files, and he is actually preparing the software. And so it's good to have his details as part of the manifest, so that if some problems comes to this particular project or some particular files of this project, so what Tech Mahindra will do, directly he will talk to that particular developer, and he will ask that particular developer to fix it, because he has all the knowledge about this project. So for that we can have one more attribute, which is created by. So I'll give any name. So these are all the important things you should have in manifest. And so main.class file is important. So let me order it in a proper format. So now mostly non-modified things will be, I'll keep it in top, and modified things will be keep it in down. Sorry. So created by, I put it as top. So there is no order based, and you can put it anywhere. But I just keep this way so that for readability it will be comfortable. Uh, to modification also you can do it in down the lines, not in the top lines. So I just created a Java class and a manifest. Now we are ready to create a jar file now. So these are place I was supposed to create a jar file. So to create a jar file, like how we have Java C for compiling a Java class and generating a dot class file, and Java command we have for running a Java program. Likewise, we'll be having one more executable file, which is a jar. So which is there in our program files, like how we have Java C and Java. Let's go and see it in program files, how it actually looks like. So just in Java folder, go to JDK, bin. So here you can see Java, Java C. These two are there apart from the bin folder. Also you can see jar, jar.exe, which is actually used to generate our jar file. So we will be using this file to generate jar. Let's go back to our code. So these are the files we have. The command will be not Java, jar. So we'll be using the jar executable file. Then we have to give cmf, so which is create manifest. So say this kind of creating with the manifest, and the file will be, what are the file will be giving, that will be giving here. The manifest, what is the manifest? Manifest.mf, and the name of the jar file, which is, I can give any jar, lm.jar, which is elementary.jar. I'll be giving any name, and what are the classes it has to consider. So I'll be giving all the classes. You can give only hotel management class, or you can give all the classes within this package. I'll be giving all the classes. If you have a number of classes, you can give a number of classes, or if you want a specific tone class, you can remove the star and you can give what is the class you have to mention. See, simply just generated a jar. So just we generated a jar with the manifest and the name of the jar we just given with the what is the name we given, the jar got generated, and it is considering all the dot class files. So these are the typical syntax of generating jar file. Jar cmf, we have to give manifest as input, followed by jar file name and the class files. So these are we can generate a jar. Let's run this in a developer point of view. Like in run, let's test this jar, and we can give it to the customer. So the way to test the jar file is, again you have to use Java tool, Java hyphen. So here we are not running dot class file. Here we are running jar. So that you have to give the parameter is jar, and the file will be lm.jar. See, if you just click on enter, then you will be getting a successful output. What it will be doing is, our testing is done. So we just created a jar, then we tested the jar. So what we'll do now, the Tech Mahindra is having a jar file which is ready to give lemon tree. So we just copy this jar and we'll be giving to client. So in client mission, just have it here. Suppose if you consider this folder is a client machine, so I don't have two machines to explain you, so I just have one machine. I just copied the jar into client folder. So in client, what I'm doing is I'm just going to client. So if you see the files here, I just have only one file which is lm.jar. So if you consider these as a client, I just want to execute this file. So I don't need to have Eclipse and all on the Notepad and all. I don't need to, here I cannot able to see any files within that, like what are the files he created and all. I can able to see it here. It's just a jar file. I have it, and Java software is installed in my machine. That's more than enough. Like how we demonstrated here, just having the Java software and the jar file. The bundled jar file will be having, we just use it. Let's go to the client folder and run it for him. So the command will be again Java jar, then you have to give the jar file name. So once you run it, it's got succeeded, and we'll be getting room got booked successfully. So these are the customer actually taking the jar file and is actually testing the jar file, like running the jar file particularly. So if any modifications, then again we'll be modifying the code and also the metadata files, and we'll be generating a new jar and give it to the customer. So these way of generating jars and using a jar files. So make sure I'll be writing commands here so that you can able to remember. To generating a jar, you have to use jar cmf manifest.mf, then any jar name followed by classes. What are the classes you want? All the classes you have to give it. So these are, with this command you can able to generate a jar file and you can able to give it to customer. What customer will execute when he is actually using this jar, he just run command which is java-jar and demo.jar. That's it. You can actually expect the output whatever we mentioned in the requirements. So these the whole process of generating a jars and using a jar files. So these about the topic, and the next we can discuss about very interesting topic, which is the database, where we can actually see what is the database and all, and how actually database is required for real time, and we can see it in more detail in next tutorial. Thanks guys, thanks for watching.